Hi everybody, this is Kevin from Texas Yardman and More, and today I'm here featuring a video on fixing water seeping out from underneath my toilet. Down here, I suspect it's coming out from the bottom side here, and I've got to fix that. It's been leaking. I've noticed water on the floor here and around it, so I'm gonna have to take this toilet off, and we're gonna have to reseal it with the wax rings. So and then I've got to seal up along that backboard there, and so I figured since I've got to do this, I'm gonna do a video on it. So I'm going to show you the damage that it's caused. It went through the wall, this back wall here, and it seeped into my bedroom, in the master bedroom here. So I'm going to show you the kind of damage it did. Just just started out of nowhere. So I'm gonna come over here and show you real quick. On the opposite side of this wall, you can see where the water came out and it damaged these flooring planks, and so I'm gonna have to repair that as well. But water is very damaging. It even came around to this side a little bit. You can see right there. So I'm gonna fix this, and we're gonna get the source of the problem done first, and then I'll show you how I take this toilet off. And some of you may have had something similar, so hope this video helps. So I'll be back when I get ready to take the toilet off. Okay, so we're here. I've got a lantern back here, so that's going to help illuminate so I can see what I'm doing. But I just wanted to show you, you can see where the water's been leaking back here. It's left water, like a water stain around the base of the toilet, so we've got to fix that. So the first thing you want to do is, behind every toilet you'll see a water valve. You want to make sure you turn that off. Righty tighty, lefty loosen. So when you tighten it, it turns the water off. And then the next thing you got to do is, I'm going to remove the top so you don't break it when you pick the toilet up off the seal. But you've got to take these. Well, this is a cap. I got the screw on one, so that way it doesn't keep falling off. But you just simply loosen that. It's threaded, and then you can see the bolt and the nut underneath it. Mine, I believe, takes no, it's a little bit bigger. That's an 11 millimeter, and you just simply take the nut off. So you've got to loosen these, and these are showing some wear. The water corrodes it. This one is moving around. So as I turn it, it's turning the bolt, so that doesn't want to come off. So what I've got over here is an oscillating tool with a carbide tip on it, and I'm going to use this to essentially cut through that nut. The good thing is I've got some distance between the base down here, right here. See if I can show you. I've got some distance between the nut. There we go. So the nut is right here. I was able to unscrew it a little bit, but now it's just spinning. So I'm going to cut right through that bolt, and we'll take it off that way. And then here's just a collar. That's the base for the cap. And then on this side, probably the same thing. It's looking a little rusty. I'm just going to use the tool to cut that nut and bolt off. And I'm doing this one-handed, so I'm not going to be able to show that part, but I'll tell you how it goes. Be back. So there you have it. The oscillating tool here just cut right through it. I did take a little bit of force when I was pressing on it, but it cut right through it. This is a carbide tip for metal, and I'll see if I can show you. It just rubs back and forth super fast. I'll turn it on here so you can see it. So it's kind of like a hacksaw blade that's moving back and forth at really high RPM. So it's designed to cut metal. It's a carbide tip, like I said, and it just cut right through that bolt very nicely. And there, you can see it right there. See if I can show you. Right there. And so that one came off. Now we got to do the other. So now we're here and the second one is off. This one took a little more muscle. This one was spinning completely and I didn't have enough gap to get underneath it. So I had to cut through the bottom side of the nut. And then once I started doing that, I was able to get up underneath that nut and get in more into the bolt. So you can also use a hammer and chisel once you get it started and just give it a couple of good whacks, but you got to be careful not to hit the porcelain, because you could chip it and break it and then you end up having to buy a new toilet. So you don't want to go that route. You have to be very careful. So the next step is to take off the water line, because we're going to be picking this toilet up right up as it sits now, since it's free, it's not bolted down. And you just simply use a wrench, and I've got an adjustable wrench that I'm going to take this line off right here. And you can also do it up from up underneath, but I'm not going to mess with that one. It's easier just to do it right at the water source. And you got to make sure your water is off all the way to the tightened all the way to the right. And then you also want to flush the toilet to get all the water out of the bowl. So there's a little bit in there, but make sure you get all the water out as much as possible, because you're going to get some on the floor and you want to make sure you got a towel ready. And one other tip I want you to have is make sure you're wearing eye protection and hearing protection when you're running that oscillating cutter. It does make a lot of noise and it's amplified when you're in this small little cubby space where the toilet sits. So just keep that in mind. So now I'm going to disconnect that water line and I'm going to pull the toilet out. Alright, we're getting ready now to pull the commode off, or the toilet. You just come over here, you just simply have to pick it up and move it. So those nuts and bolts are loosened, so what I recommend is put down a towel. Here's a towel, and you got to be very careful not to drop it. So I'm gonna pick it up and kind of turn it this way and lay it on its side. And it is not super heavy. And there is going to be some water that comes out. So you got to have a towel ready to soak that water up, because there's a little bit left in the bowl down there. But I'm going to close the lid and I'll see if I can spin it around and you can see what's underneath. It's not too pleasant looking, but it's a toilet, so what do you expect? So I'm going to come in here and you can see how all of that grunge is down there. I got to clean all of that up with some hot soapy water and some cleaner, and get that nice and clean before I put the new flange on. Or it's not necessarily the flange, it sits in the flange. So I'll show you what I'm planning to use is this. So it's a ring seal, and they've started to develop these a little bit different now. They still do have wax, but now they make ones without wax, so it's less messy, but this one incorporates both. It's got a rubber seal as well as wax seal, but the wax seal is incorporated in there so it's less messy and it doesn't squeeze out. It's encased in a rubber seal. So this is made by Danco, and the part number is 10826. It's in the upper right hand corner. I'll put that in the description. But these are kind of new, so I'm going to give it a whirl. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything cleaned up. We'll put the new seal in and then set the toilet back on. Alright, so I've cleaned up most of it. I just used some Pine Sol, some water, and just cleaned up around the base. You can see the flange there. I've inserted the new screws. See if I can zoom in. There's the new brass screws, and those just slide from one end to the other, and that's how you take them out. And then here's the part underneath that you got to replace. It's the actual seal, and I put some gloves on, and this just simply comes off. You can see the old wax ring here, and there's not much of it left. And then here's the underside. You can see it, and we're going to replace this part. So before you put the new one on, you want to clean underneath the toilet. And so see if I can bring you in. So if you look underneath, you can't screw it up. It goes right on this hole opening. That's where you would put the new seal. I can't get in there close enough to show you, but hopefully you can see the lip. And so I'm going to clean that up and put the new seal on, and then we'll put the toilet back on. Alright, so I've got the new seal here. This is the new type. So you can see the wax ring inside of here. It's enclosed in this rubber casing here, so that way I guess the wax does not get out and it's less messy. But this is just like any other wax ring here. It's just encased in this rubber seal. So like I said, I've never used one of these before. I don't know if some of you out there have. Maybe you want to leave a comment and say how well it worked for you, but I anticipate it working pretty well. Shouldn't be any more leaks after putting this on. You can see that there's a pretty large gap in here, and when you sit down, set the commode down on the new bolts, and then you set the toilet on this, it's going to compress it. So it's not going to be this thick. It'll compress down because that wax. And so you set it just like this on the flange, and you put your bolts, your two bolts, through these eyelets. So it sets just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So there's what it looks like sitting on the flange. The flange is the part that's connected to the floor. This is your seal. And see if I can get in a little closer. You can see those bolts going through those eyelet holes. So now the next step is just to set the toilet on top of that hole, lining it up with that part right there. That sits in that hole on the seal. So I've cleaned that up as best as I can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get the majority of the material that was down there, and you should be all right. So I'm going to set the toilet on the seal and get them bolted down. Okay, the toilet is on now. I made sure that from the underside of the toilet that there's a spout that channels the water down into the new seal. So I made sure that that was lined up, and you can pick up the toilet a little bit and shine a flashlight down there just to verify, but that's how I did it. But the next step now is to put the washer and nut on there to secure the toilet down, and then we'll hook our water line back up. And I'm back, and I'm putting the bolts back on. I just wanted to show you, this is the Danco seal kit that I used for this job, and it came with some bolts and nuts, and these are extra long, so hopefully you can see that. These are more like 3 inches long, and I didn't need them to be that long, so I purchased some additional bolts and nuts, and they're much shorter. But one of the things I wanted to show you on here is, if you look on the tip of that bolt, there is no place where you could put a slotted screwdriver in there to hold the bolt while you're tightening down the nut. So I purchased, like I said, these shorter ones, and they're made by Johni Quick Bolt. They're 1/4 inch by 2 1/4 inch, and they have the slot for a screwdriver, so you can hold the bolt while you turn the nut. And then I also purchased some additional caps that you also have to anchor to the bolt. So don't put your nuts and washers on just yet until you put this add-on that I'm going to show you. Here's what they look like. This is a cap, and it's threaded, so you can just screw it down on top of that, and it won't fall off easy. So when either you or your wife is cleaning it, they're not just going to knock off and get lost. So they comes with a washer, comes with this base part that's threaded. It's got the male threads on it. And this is a kit by Fluidmaster, and it's called Secure Cap. So after you get everything buttoned up, you put the cap on it. It just screws on. So I wanted that because the other ones kept getting lost. So I'm going to try to show you where the threads are, or that place for the slotted screwdriver. I'm going to try to get in here closer so you can see that. So hopefully you can see that right on the top of that bolt. You'll see a slot in that bolt at the top, and that's where you put your screwdriver to hold, keep it steady while you turn down the nut so it doesn't slip. That's why I couldn't get that last one off, as it rusted, and then the bolt and the nut would turn together. So make sure you get these bolts. It'll save you a lot of headache, and highly recommend it. So I'll put all of these add-ons into the description of the video, so that'll help you out. And I bought those at Lowe's. Okay, we're here on the other side now. You can see I've got one, it's kind of like a washer that you put on there that keeps the bolt standing straight up and it doesn't move. So that helps you when you're putting these nuts on over here. And there's the add-on caps. And you can see that bolt has the notch in the end, but it's on there pretty good right now. So the first thing you put on is this add-on base. You want to put that on over the top. Then you're going to put your washer that comes with that. It's just a plastic washer. And then you're going to want to put your brass washer, and then your nut. And right now I'm able to do this by hand without, sorry about that, doing this one-handed. So that's all the way down. Now you just simply take your wrench and tighten it. And then the last part is to put your cap on, and it just screws on clockwise because it's threaded. And then you're done. And that cap is not going to come loose by somebody kicking it, or maybe a mop or a broom hits it. It's not going to pop loose because it's threaded on there. So I really like that about these little add-ons. So just showing you. Now the next step is to hook your water line back up, which I did. And it's on there, just self-threading. And I just use a small crescent wrench to do it, nothing to it. Now we've got to turn the water on and check for any kind of leaks or anything. So just simply turn this back on. You can hear the water. Now we'll come back up. Now the tank is filling back up. So we gotta wait for that to fill. Meanwhile, down here we're checking for any kind of water dripping or anything like that. So far I'm not seeing nothing. And then after it fills up, we'll go ahead and flush it and see how it works. And we're checking for water along the base as well. Okay, the reservoir is filled up, so now we're just going to flush it. And we're looking down here to see if there's any water. And I don't see any. So that is how you swap out your seal on your toilet. And if you learned anything from this video, please give me a like, subscribe, comments. I love to read your comments. I'll help you if I can, if there's any questions. And please hit that notification bell in the upper right hand corner. I appreciate all my viewers and thank you for watching. Have a great day.